Have you ever stopped to think about the fans behind a band? What is it about the music that keeps fans coming back for more? Or is there more? My name is Renae Lipsmeyer, and I am the host of this podcast, The Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. Each week, a fellow DMB fan joins the show to discuss their journey with the band. Welcome to the Space Between Podcast. Okay. Hey guys, this is Renae from the Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. So I am live in Louisville, Kentucky, or Louisville. How do you say it, Kelly?
Louisville.
I screw it up every time. How do you say it?
Louisville.
Okay, well, however you say it, we are live in Kentucky. I can say that. We're live in Kentucky. Today, the Dave Matthews Band is headlining the Bourbon and Beyond Festival. This is my very first festival. I am turning 45 in November. This is my first festival ever. So I'm honestly just looking to see if I can do it. Can I do 4 days of music here? Thursday, day 1, it goes through day 4 of Sunday. We are just doing 3 days, but can I do 3 days? That is what I'm after to see if I can do. Well, I mean, can I do today is really the only thing I'm worried about. The Dave Matthews Band, again, is here tonight after a very short break after their Gorge performance early September. So we are excited to see the boys again, and I'm excited to see them in a festival capacity. Like, does their performance change because of the confinements of the schedule that the festival has? So, but they're ending the night, so we're hoping for a longer show than maybe some of the past headliners from last night, which we got the pleasure of seeing Sting, the Wallflowers, Matchbox 20. It was a great day yesterday, so we're excited not only for the Dave Matthews Band, but all of the other bands that are going before them. So we are planning on camping out and getting a good spot for Dave, but this morning we started in tailgating because that's what we do as Dave Matthews Band fans. So I'm going to let Heather just turn the camera a little bit so she can see just the people that are here in the parking lot for the Dave Matthews Band. Of course, what this podcast is about is the story of the fans of the Dave Matthews Band and the community that they've created outside of the music, but within the music. And so as you can see, lots of people here showed up at 9 o'clock this morning to start preparing our hearts, preparing our minds for the Dave Matthews Band that's performing tonight. They perform at 8:55 Eastern time. So I've got my good friend Kelly here. So Kelly, tell everybody where you traveled from to come to Bourbon and Beyond.
I traveled here from Jacksonville, Florida.
And is this your first time to see the Dave Matthews Band?
No, it's my 118th time, I think.
118th time. Oh my God, 118 shows. Have you ever seen them at a festival?
I have. I've seen them at 2, actually. So Hangout Fest, that was in 2012. And then Caravan, the Chicago Caravan. Mm-hmm.
So do you feel like their performance changes a little bit from just like a traditional Dave Matthews Band show versus a festival where they have other musicians playing that weekend?
I think traditionally they do a little bit more of like a set list that is more mainstream, that people might know more songs. But you never know with Dave. Hopefully he pulls out some bangers, you know.
Yeah, you never know. We're very, very close to the induction of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Our boys are getting in this year. So we just don't know what that looks like leading into then. I think that they are a band that's never been out to prove themselves ever, ever, ever. So I don't look for them to be doing that now. I mean, they don't even need to anymore. They don't need to. They have a massive following. Again, this is what the podcast is about, is the following of the Dave Matthews Band. So I don't think they have to change up anything. I mean, I'm ready for them to sing the phone book tonight. And if that happens, I will be like, the T's were amazing. You through X or whatever, the alphabet, the whole alphabet was amazing. It would have been the Millers. Like, he could sing the Miller section like with such, do it. Whatever. I'm here for whatever.
The Band-Aid song, and we'd be cool.
Jello, J-E, like whatever. We're here for you.
Singles we're good with. Anything. But if he opened with two-step again, no one would be sad. You never know.
I'm never sad. I don't see a lot of sad people at Dave shows. Do you?
No. And if they are, they're not in the right place. We should make them happy.
It's filling our soul right now. Okay, I'm going to move around. We're just going to stop you right in the middle of your conversation. Of course, talking to the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. Is this your first Dave show?
No, this is actually show number 50 for me.
Show number 50, so it's a celebration.
And my home venue. Well, not home venue, but home show.
So what is your name? Where are you from?
Kevin Crow, Louisville, Kentucky. I'm from California, but I live here.
Yeah. So how long have you been listening to the Dave Matthews Band?
92-ish.
So you've seen them do a lot of things, a lot of beautiful things. Are you excited about the way the band sounds now?
I love it. Buddy is a great addition. I honestly don't miss Boyd at all. I know a lot of people do, but the band is what it is, and I love it. It gets better every time I see him.
Yeah, so what keeps you coming back for more?
These people,
That's
the
right
people
here.
around us,
That's right here.
the fans, the friends that I've made with the Dave Matthews family. It's been awesome.
I mean, that is a common story. People keep coming back, of course, for the music. That's what connected us. But then it's coming back and meeting the people over and over that are inside the community. Okay, so let's get one more, two more. I don't know, whoever will say anything.
All right.
Okay, tell us, what is your name and where are you from? And hold on, let's move over. It's a party out here. Oh, she's prepared a speech, guys. She's prepared a speech. Okay, tell us who you are first and where are you from?
All right, Vicki Brown, Northern Kentucky. So I live about an hour and a half from Louisville. I live about an hour from Lexington, and I'm 30 minutes from Cincinnati.
Hell yeah, she's close to a lot of things that are happening.
Okay, so here's the geography of Louisville. I want to welcome everybody who's watching the podcast to Louisville. Louisville is a very strategically placed city. There are 12 venues, all within 6.5 hours or less from Louisville. All right, so we've got Riverbend, Deer Creek, the Dayton Nutter Center, Nationwide in Columbus, Bridgestone in Nashville, the Hollywood Casino in Missouri, Chicago, Blossom, Star Lake, Alpine, Pine Knob, and then Alpharetta, Georgia.
That's a lot.
And that, my friends, is why this area of the country is always broke.
We spend all our money on Dave.
Yes.
I mean, but what a way to go, right?
Right, yeah. So yeah, when everybody asks why it's so easy for people in Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana, the Illinois or Missouri area to do so many shows, it's because of the strategery, I guess, or the location of each state, and the fact that all those venues are only about 6.5 hours away, depending on which city you're coming out of. Yeah. So when Dave Nato came through and we were at Deer Creek and they rescheduled the show, we were saying, are we going to drive 3 hours home or are we going to drive 4 hours back to Wisconsin? Yeah. 4 hours back to Wisconsin. So yes, welcome to Louisville, everyone.
We're excited to be here. This is our first trip. I know it's a lot of people's first trip to Kentucky in general. So everything's been really easy so far. I mean, this venue itself is massive. I don't think I was prepared for how big it is. I mean, have you been to shows here before? Is this usually what you see at a Bourbon and Beyond? Have you been to a Bourbon and Beyond before?
I did all 4 days at Bourbon and Beyond last year, and yes, this is a very large expo center. This is where the Kentucky Fair is held, and then obviously Kentucky Kingdom, and then you've got all the halls that a lot of different small stuff is done. So this place is always hopping throughout the year.
So far it's been very well organized. The lines have not been terrible, but it is a massive venue. So if Bourbon and Beyond is something in your future, just know that you're not, even though you're coming to Kentucky, you're not coming to a little venue. You're coming to a massive city venue, and it is really nice. So how long have you been following the Dave Matthews Band?
Since about 1993. My first show was in 96 at Riverbend.
So what is it that keeps you coming back for more after all these years?
A lot of it is, the way the band has changed and their music has evolved. And then, of course, it's all my friends and all the social meetups and all the stuff that we do together throughout the year, whether it's at a show or at a tribute show or just getting together because, it's wintertime and nothing's going on. Yeah.
I mean, again, it's more of the same answers of just loving the community that's around this band and the community it's created just because of the message that they're always pushing out with their music. And so we're all in love with the Dave Matthews Band. If you could request one song, I mean, what song is going to get you excited tonight?
I would like to hear Sugar Will.
Yeah, I think most people would be in line with that. It's always one of those songs that people forget about so easily, but then as soon as they play it, everybody remembers it and goes, "Oh shit, why have I not been requesting that, or why have they not been playing that?" Because it's good every time. But of course, those are just our opinions. I know a lot of people that don't like it too.
Right? Yeah.
Like you hear all of these things, but
Yeah.
cool.
It's each their own.
That's right. Yeah, it never really bothers me. I'm just like, oh, tell me more. Like, why? Let's discuss this in a friendly way. Like, why is it that you don't like it? Because I just want to understand it, but sometimes it doesn't. But awesome. So we are going to continue on this podcast a little later once we get inside. But again, it's already begun here at the Bourbon and Beyond, just out in the parking lots. Excited about the show tonight with the Dave Matthews Band. Vicki, thank you so much for putting this all together and for all that you do for the community.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
We ready? All right. Hey, guys, we're back here inside of Bourbon and Beyond here in Louisville, Kentucky. So I have a fan of the day that came out for the Dave Matthews Band. So tell us who you are and where you're from.
I am Star Wilson, and I'm right outside of Springfield, Illinois.
All right. So is this your first Dave show?
My first Dave show? No.
How many shows? Or when did you start listening to Dave?
98.
98. So you've seen quite the evolution of the band. You've seen a lot of changes. How excited are you? We're in 2024. This band is still making music, still traveling across the country, across the world, and people are fleeting out to see. I'm like, how do you feel about that?
I think they are on fire, and they sound better than they ever have. Like, it's amazing.
It really is, because we've seen players come. I call them the players. Like, this is my game. This is my team. I call them the players, but they are also playing instruments, so I can call them that, right?
Yes.
So that we've seen some change up. We've seen some change, like musically. I think even just the way they play the music, but I think the way they're doing it now is like, I've listened to a lot of Dave Matthews Band. Right now, they are on fire. And it's rare to find bands that are over 30 years still playing music and that sound better than they ever have. I mean, that's a rare thing. So with the Dave Matthews Band, though, you get that every fucking time. So we expect big things in Kentucky, just like we expect no matter where the Dave Matthews Band is playing. So have you ever seen them in Kentucky?
I have not seen them in Kentucky, but I have seen a festival show before.
So do you think the festival shows differ a little bit than just like when you pay to go see the Dave Matthews Band?
Absolutely. You're going to get more hits because there's people that only know the hits, and there's a different crowd where we're used to those deep cuts. So, I mean, we're going to get hits, and it's going to be great no matter what. He can sing the alphabet, and we'll fucking roll with it.
So if you had a lifeline to Dave right now, what would be your pick? And that's a hard question, because if you were to ask me, I'd be like, I need 48 hours to process that. But like, just off the cuff, like, what would be a throwout that you'd say, I really want to hear this today?
I mean, I've never heard Angel, or at least that I remember, but I love me some Break Free.
Yes.
So.
And the chances are high that you'll get Break Free. Angel, we joke about this if you listen to the Bourbon and Beyond podcast that I did not too long ago. We talked about Angel and how appropriate that would be for Bourbon and Beyond because of course, names of bourbons, names of whiskeys. And so Angel would actually be clutch right now. Like, it would be perfect.
It would be crazy. We would go nuts.
The internet would break should that happen. But I'd be here for it, right?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for offering to tell your story here. Hey, if you don't know about Star, like, Google the shit out of her. Like, she does some great work. Let's plug your business. Tell us just a little bit about it.
I do dye printing and laser engraving. I don't know, Dave's kind of been a window for that creative outlet, and he's really changed my life.
So how can someone find you on social media?
Just find me on Facebook.
What's it under?
Star N. Wilson. We had to be.
And then what's your business page?
swdesignconcepts.com.
All right, be sure to check it out. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. So Bourbon and Beyond 2024, we just finished that up. And so we are in the car doing a live podcast with 3 probably unwilling volunteers that are going to be on the show. I'm going to put a microphone in front of you while we're driving because you can't leave. And if you don't say anything, it will be weird. So here we are. We're finishing up this Bourbon and Beyond podcast right in the car. So we just want to go over our number one question going into a festival to see Dave is like, is there a big difference between festival Dave Matthews Band and just solo show Dave Matthews Band? And honestly, this was my first time, and I don't get to say that often. But this was my first time, and honestly, I thought it was a great show. They threw out some surprises that I didn't think, because mostly from what I heard people say, it's going to be the hits. It's going to be the hits because people that come to festivals often are there to see a lot of different bands, maybe are not there just to see the Dave Matthews Band. So they sing more of their hits, more things that people will just kind of know from the radio. So when they pulled out Alligator Pie, that's definitely not a song that would be widely known unless you have gone down the rabbit hole. Right. Ooh, there's a bourbon. Bourbon reference. You going down the rabbit hole of the Dave Matthews Band, which all four of us in the car are slowly going down the rabbit hole. I don't know how deep it is. Does anyone know how deep it is?
That's what she said.
I knew that was going to happen. But the Dave Matthews rabbit hole is deep and dark and vast.
And moist. And moist.
And sometimes... Well, you know what? Speaking of moist... Shout out to Mary Beth Nix, who loves that word, and we use it very often just to get on her nerves because we're good friends like that, right?
That's what friends do.
That's what friends are for.
That's what friends are for.
This is the Bourbon and Beyond podcast that you're listening to in the car where we sing live. Why not, right? So, yes, very moist, very hot on the day that the Dave Matthews Band played, which was Friday. They were the headliner at Bourbon and Beyond, and by the time they played, which they went on stage at 8:55, we had been there. What time did we get there Friday? Early.
We'd been standing in that spot for probably 5 hours.
5 hours in front of the stage, right? Right. Before the concert.
We were there like before noon, weren't we?
Yeah,
Yes.
we got there before noon.
We got there before noon. So we were there all day, and it was a beautiful day. Not a cloud in the sky. However, there is no shade in most of what is Bourbon and Beyond unless you had VIP passes, which I do want to give a big shout out to Ben and his wife Heather for really making this whole thing happen. And we were able to get the VIP passes, and it was an amazing experience. But now I can say that I've seen both sides of Bourbon and Beyond, and Bourbon and Beyond, particularly if you are general admission, beware, because there is no shade. There are no trees. And on a hot, beautiful, non-cloudy day, it would roast you. It would take everything out of you. I mean, do you think you would have been able to stand it just out in, I mean, I'm not trying to sound snobby, but like in general admission, is it even doable?
No, there's no way I would have made it. I would have been passed out on the lawn and not even having a drop of bourbon.
No. And that's another thing that we couldn't figure out. My husband and Ben, well, Heather, you all love bourbon, but because it's 98 degrees and sunny outside, that's not a bourbon sipping climate.
And it makes me wonder if in other years past it's been cooler.
I would like to think October, November would be a great time for Bourbon and Beyond in Kentucky.
It was in the 70s for highs last week here, but and then a heat wave came.
But so we've done some distillery tours while here because again we're with a solid group of people that love bourbon in general, and so of course Kentucky is the world capital, if you will, of bourbon. And so one of the things that they mentioned in one of the tours is Kentucky has such favorable conditions, and one of that being the weather, not knowing what is going to happen, but that is very favorable when making bourbon in the history of bourbon. So their unpredictable weather really does help in their ability to make bourbon. So we're learning something new, even though
you make lemonade.
Hey, and they make bourbon here instead of lemonade. So everyone is extremely happy in Kentucky. I'm happy to be here myself. Had you ever been to? Well, you had been to. And I want you to say the city's name correctly for me.
It's Louisville.
I feel like I have something in my mouth when I say that.
Yeah,
Lowell.
Lowell. Yeah, you feel like you're a little bit stuffed up. Louisville.
Louisville. Well, it is a lovely city. There are a lot of things to do here. If you ever do think about coming to Bourbon and Beyond, should the Dave or anybody else that you like, praise Dave, right? Like that's some some things we've said in past years. I told my friends today, we all met for breakfast, that I continuously write down things that my friends say as we're traveling. Funny things, odd things that stuck out, things that made the weekend. And one of them was someone had said something in a comical way, not being serious. I don't want to get into like religion and politics and all this shit, but like, yeah, they said praise Dave, and the way they used it was hilarious. I'll share with you just because, why not? There were so many good ones. Wait, can you say that again? What is one of the highlights of this year when it comes to people saying things to you in random places?
One of the highlights?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, just making me laugh and stuff like that, but you motorboating son of a bitch.
You motorboating son of a bitch. Now, how did that even come up? Does anyone remember?
I wasn't there. That was Westmont.
Does anyone remember?
I'm pretty sure that was Amber Peebles came up with that one.
You never know. Someone else, speaking of you never know, one of the best things I heard so far was you never know when you're going to shit your pants. I mean, I guess that's true. Because I'd like to think I'd be prepared if I knew it was going to happen. I don't know. One of my favorite Dave references of my friends saying different things. I just heard stay or leave, and now I want to take my clothes off. What? I can honestly say I've heard that song a lot, and I've never wanted to get naked. Heather, your thoughts?
I have not felt the same. I mean, good for them. Good for them.
Good for them. Such a pleasurable feeling, I'm sure. Wait, Justin's thoughts.
I would like to hear a song that wants me, that would make me want to get naked.
7. Name some more. Crush, yeah. I mean, there's an unlimited amount of clothes. I mean, why are people not naked at Dave Matthews? Well, first of all, we don't want that. But moving on, we'll get past that.
The Jeffy pants almost came off.
The Jeffy pants. Okay, so this one time at band camp, that's so this one time in 2024 after the Woodlands, someone said, we got foreplay and then we got fucked. I love that. That was like their description in a few words of how the concert felt for them. Like, and we've all had those concerts where they start out kind of slow and seductive. Like, let's start with one and get your engines revving, and then it's time to get fucked, right? Yeah. All the way to the very end. Well, things people say. I'll quote my husband today from earlier. I did write it down. When asked what his meal preference was, he said, I can't.
So we were booking our flights to Mexico, and there was a meal preference on the airline. And I said, well, put me down for being a vegetarian. Thank you very much.
And I live with him, and it's amazing. And I've never had a better time in my life. And clearly, he's never had better food. Things we say now, right? Welcome to the Space Between podcast. If this is the first time you've ever listened, well, buckle up because there's about 135 episodes that are just very similar to this. We talk about the Dave Matthews Band, but we talk particularly about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band, which is some of the best people I've ever met, ever. So let's get into it. Let's talk about Bourbon and Beyond. We got, how many songs did we get, Ben?
16.
Okay, I'm going to invite Ben. So if you don't know Ben Parker, you can look him up on all the socials. He is the official assistant to the regional manager, which is me, of the Space Between podcast. I have paid him so much money. I tripled his salary today. Yes, and I mean, I know you guys are thinking about retirement, right?
Yes, these $0 are really going to help.
My Venmo is beeps 210.
Of course, we get paid $0.00 to put this podcast on. So we always joke that I'm going to triple his salary because triple of zero is zero. So Ben, walk us through Bourbon and Beyond. Any highlights for you, and just what can someone expect from a Festival Dave?
I mean, usually whenever you expect the Festival Dave, you usually get all the hits and everything. I know at Innings it was all the hits. Common Festival and stuff. This time, you sit there and you get, starting off with a drum solo from Carter. And we're like, what is going on here? And then all of a sudden they come on out with Ants Marching, which is usually, closer, encore, something like that. But to open,
Ants at the Gorge or something like.
they opened with Two Step,
Okay.
which is also usually a closer too.
And we also got the thank you night.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Good night,
Yep.
right? Good night.
So, but yeah, I mean, there were some huge hits. I mean, like the fourth song that he plays Alligator Pie, and it's like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, what the hell is going on here? Alligator Pie.
I'm a guitar watcher, and I did not know what he was about to play with that guitar because you don't see it very often. It was like it's a beautiful guitar with like almost like a stainless steel fret look on it. I didn't know what he was going to play. I wasn't expecting Alligator Pie.
Was not expecting that at all. He did play 2 songs off of the new album. So we got a little Madman's Eyes and some Monsters. Which, by the way, I must have to give myself a shout out that actually me, you, and Justin a shout out that we all called the under on that because it was an over under of 2.5. So we called the under. We got 2. So, but yeah, I mean, Ants Marching, When the World Ends, What Would You Say? I mean, Alligator Pie.
Right. Woo!
Oh, yeah.
So right. Crash Into Me, of course. I mean, come on. I will be your Dixie Chicken if you'll be my Tennessee Lamb. I love that part. Love the live version of part of it. And then, of course, he covered Let's Dance. So,
Are you dropping off or parking?
Parking.
We just opened up, so right up at the top corner.
Okay.
Is what
All
we
right.
got available.
Thank you.
Yep.
Don't mind
And
us, we're actually on our way to a bourbon tour.
Yep. We are at Buffalo Trace Distillery. So yes, we are trying to park. So, but then he went into Madman's Eyes, into Grace Is Gone, which is Grace Is Gone is so good, so beautiful. I love that song.
We'll go right here.
So, and then we got a little Dancing Nancy's.
Yeah.
So, which there wasn't a whole lot of room to dance.
No, there wasn't.
No.
So,
Let's talk about the pit at Bourbon and Beyond.
oh, the pit. The pit was, pretty darn packed. And we had a lot of people that were trying to work their way through, of course. Fortunately, we had our bulldog, Aaron Holly, with us.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. That helped out a lot. And, but yeah, Dancing Nancy's in the Warehouse, Monsters, Little Lie in Our Graves.
That's really good. And then we had a guest, right?
We did have a guest.
Derek.
But that wasn't until the last
That
song.
was Line Our Graves.
Oh, it was like, oh no, it was Line Our Graves. I'm sorry. I am heat exhaustion. That's what I'm going to blame it on.
Bourbon and Beyond.
So yes,
This is the Beyond part.
this is the Beyond part. Definitely the Beyond
We'll have
part.
to catch this back up when we come back in.
So-
We need to get out there.
But digging a ditch. So right, the space between, because I'm pretty sure that was an add-on because they were ready to hand Dave another guitar. And then Dave said, nope, I'm just going to hang on to this guitar. And I think it was because he saw, our wonderful host, Renae Lipsmeyer.
That's what I like to
So that's what I like to think too.
I mean, because
So-
it was
It's a beautiful thing.
I'm willing to talk about it, but I think it was a total set list change because, again, his tech came out with a different guitar. They were signed up to play a different song, and Dave looked at him and said, no, I'm going to keep this guitar, and then he played The Space Between. So, I mean, whether I can believe it in my head that that's what happened, so we like to think here at The Space Between that The Space Between was sung because we were at The Space Between at the Bourbon Beyond. to The Space Between, from The Space Between. The Space Between.
Yep. And then all along the Watchtower.
All along the
All along the Watchtower. Can't go wrong.
Okay, so we just finished Buffalo Trace Distillery. We did not do the tour because, honestly, I think they were sold out. So we stood in line for about an hour, and that gave us access to the gift shop because we still had to check in to go through the gift shop. But my husband is a very happy man right now, so he bought, 10 bottles of Buffalo Trace, which sounds like a lot until you know about Arkansas and the weird liquor rules that we have. Like Buffalo Trace is findable, but not easily. And so he's all over the bourbon here. So that was a positive experience. One of the cool things about this part of the country, of course, is all the bourbon tours. Like there are, how many would you say, like if for all of them? Like
I have no idea. There's so many.
there's a lot.
So many.
A lot.
Seven in Louisville.
7 in Louisville. Louisville. And then we're right outside, and we're in Frankfort,
Frankfort,
Kentucky right now, which was just about an hour drive from Louisville. I can't do it. I cannot do it. And so now we are headed to another distillery. And so if this is your first time listening to the Space Between podcast, just know that this is not a typical podcast. This was just because we were traveling, doing something new. And of course, the Space Between was here at Bourbon and Beyond. So we're here to just report back to say, hey, here was the fan experience. Here's what we liked. Here's what we didn't like. But of course, we always love the music and the people that show up to hear the Dave Matthews Band. So will we sign up to do Bourbon and Beyond again? What are y'all's thoughts?
If Dave's coming.
Okay, so yeah, I think so. If Dave were coming, maybe. I don't know. I know that I'm not a festival girl now.
I might get a 1-day pass for the 1 day that Dave is coming.
Yeah.
And I'm now apparently bougie, and I don't think I could do general admission. I'd have to get VIP.
Well, I mean, I think just, in the sun, it was a lot. It was a lot. So I don't know that I would come to another festival. I don't know. I don't know if I honestly have the strength or the patience or the want to anymore. I don't know. I kind of like signing up straight for the Dave Matthews Band by themselves, and especially those weekends where we're going to get him more than once in a weekend. And so that's my go-to plan. But this was a positive experience, and I'm so happy that I got to spend some time with some of the people that I only get to see during Dave Matthews Band concerts. So that always makes it a lot of fun. So again, if you're listening to this for the first time, just know that there are over 130 episodes that you can listen to, and typically our episodes are just about a fan's experience rather than my personal experience. So definitely stay tuned. If you listen to one and you don't like it, we'll just switch to the next one because they're all very different. But be sure to check out the YouTube channel because you can watch that if you would rather watch than listen. And when you go to YouTube, be sure to do all the things that your teenagers know to do, which is to do what, guys? What do we do when we go to YouTube?
Like, subscribe, and leave a review, please.
Yeah, leave a review. Even if you're listening to this on a podcast app, it's very important, whether it's through Apple Music or Apple Podcast, Spotify, however you get your podcast. Be sure to leave a review for the Space Between Positive, but only if you have something positive to say. If you have something negative to say, send me an email. That would be preferable. I'd love to know. Yeah, constructive criticism is always needed. Things you'd like to see on the show, things that you want to say on the show. I'm always open to that because how this show continues to go on is if fans of the Dave Matthews Band reach out to me and say, hey, I'd love to share my story. And so if you're interested in doing that, reach out to me on any of the socials. On Facebook, it's simply under the Space Between Podcast. On Instagram, the Space Between _POD, and TikTok, the Space Between Podcast. So guys, stay tuned for another fan story coming soon. The Space Between Podcast is staying on the road. But in October, we're at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, where, of course, the Dave Matthews Band is getting inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And so we're so excited to be there. So be sure to watch all of the socials for, I think we already have Night Zero up for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Ben, do you have anything to say about that right quick?
Yes, I do. Jolly Scholar. It's on the Case Western Reserve campus, just a little east of downtown Cleveland. It is going to rock. We have so much great live music. Ridge Richter is hosting. I am one of the co-hosts. There are many hands in on this, and but Ridge is the main guy, and it's going to be an absolute blast. And yeah, you guys definitely want to go.
So be sure to check out that event on any of the socials because, yeah, that's already planned by our wonderful friend, Ridge Richter, who, and of course, Ben has helped put this together. So we will be doing a Night Zero with all of them. So be sure to check out all the details on social media. So until then, stay tuned for the next episode, and thanks for listening. Bye.